And gentlemen, the world of professional wrestling never stops, and welcome to another ridiculous report. Clash in Paris 2025 is in the books. It was a great show. It started off pretty damn slow, but the ending got a lot of people talking. Seth Rollins defended the World Heavyweight Championship against CM Punk, LA Knight, and Jey Uso in the main event in a fatal four-way match. A masked person interfered. There's been rumors about who's going to join the Vision faction with Paul Heyman, Rollins, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed. There were reports of maybe it's Ricky Saints, formerly known as Ricky Starks. Maybe it's Ethan Page, now that his partnership with Chelsea Green and NXT has been successful. Well, no, it's not going to be either of those two. It's going to be Becky Lynch, Women's Intercontinental Champion. Becky Lynch helped Seth Rollins retain the World Heavyweight Championship. She's married to Seth Rollins in real life. And after this interference, they posed on the entrance ramp, and everybody started wondering, does this mean AJ Lee's returning? Well, Fightful Select released a report right after Clash in Paris went off the air, said that AJ Lee would, reject pitches for her in-ring return over the years, but she hasn't been rejecting them quite as much as of late. There's more traction for her possible return. A higher-up in WWE told Fightful that they're not concerned about ring rust for AJ Lee because she's married to CM Punk, who just spent 7 years away from wrestling and returned in AEW a few years ago. So they're not worried about AJ Lee's ring rust, that she could hop right into the ring if she returned. And this WWE's airing WrestlePalooza on September 20th, opposing AEW All Out. And I said on a previous video, if it's going to be Brock Lesnar versus John Cena in a last man standing match, while I want to see that match and we'll watch it eventually, I'm not ordering All Out or not watching All Out live. I think most people who are fans of wrestling are going to order All Out and then watch WWE later. Well, now I might have to be tuning in to watch WrestlePalooza live if AJ Lee's returning. She hasn't competed in a match since 2015. She had that weird little run with WOW, Women of Wrestling, where she didn't want to wrestle. She was on commentary, I think, and then was writing for them. I don't even know what happened there. But she's a free agent in the world of professional wrestling. She could return. When CM Punk returned at AEW in 2021, one of the first thoughts I had was like, oh my God, if they get AJ Lee here, that will really help their women's division. That's another huge star. And then everything went to shit and that all fell apart, and CM Punk is now in WWE. So WWE could reap those rewards. AJ Lee has a much better history in WWE. Should have to compete as AJ Mendez in AEW. She could return to WWE with the AJ Lee name. Everybody knows who she is. Fans will be pumped to see her, and I think that's a pretty damn huge match to counter program All Out with. If they have AJ Lee and CM Punk versus Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch in a mixed tag team match at WrestlePalooza, I'm scared for Tony Khan and All Out. That's a lot of people are still going to order All Out, but if they keep putting stuff like that wrestling fans have been dying to see, that wrestling fans really wanted to see with CM Punk when he returned in AEW and never got the chance because of backstage bullshit, they're going to be many people are going to be tuning in to WrestlePalooza over All Out if AJ Lee's on the card. And that sounds ridiculous. She hasn't wrestled in 10 years. She's that popular. She made a connection with a lot of people back in the day. It's a big deal if she returns to the ring and is competing at WrestlePalooza. Could spell trouble for AEW All Out, but we'll see. That's not confirmed. They could hold out on that match for a later date, but I can't imagine you have Becky Lynch interfering in a World Heavyweight Championship match if it doesn't lead to AJ Lee returning. She distracted CM Punk, and Seth Rollins hit him with a stomp on top of a chair to win the match. And it has to lead to AJ Lee and CM Punk versus Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. If not, I'm not sure what the hell they're doing, but I think that's where they're going. I think that's the direction for this, and I think it's going to be a massive, massive deal. Now I'm going to do something that I never do. I'm going to defend Tony Khan. Jake Hager went on Chris Van Vliet's Insight podcast and ripped Tony Khan. Said that after all that Punk shit went down, the boys got together when we had a meeting. This was the boys only, no office, Sting's in there. Show, Jericho, Brian Mox, they're all standing at the front talking us through the shit. And then Tony Khan burst in and went on a rant and said that I'll put you guys in a 6-man tag team match 5 minutes before the show, and you're going to have to do that. You do whatever I want. I'm the booker. According to Jake Hager. That's what Jake Hager said. He said that we became his little playthings in AEW. Jake Hager hardly wrestled in AEW. Jake Hager never cut promos in AEW. Nobody noticed that Jake Hager is gone from AEW. They botched his whole run. And maybe that's just on Jake Hager with limited potential. Maybe his talent is limited. Maybe that's just on him. But this sounds like sour grapes if I've ever heard them. Jake Hager saying we had blood, sweat, and tears in that company. Maybe Jericho. I don't know about you. You know, Jake Hager was on the first episode of Dynamite. He was there for a few years. He would disappear for months on end. It was like a Rusev situation. He'd just be gone, and then he'd be back with Jericho, not saying anything, and now he's wearing a hat. So he's complaining that Tony Khan ran AEW how he wanted to and didn't listen to anybody. This is after rumors of Chris Jericho reportedly leaving AEW. Jericho is good friends with Jake Hager. Jake Hager was in AEW because of Chris Jericho, so it could be all these dominoes falling here. If you look at everything, could be Jake Hager spouting off on Tony Khan after he didn't renew his contract because Jericho is also leaving. That could be what's going on here. But all I know is, while Tony Khan, I have 45 million issues with the way Tony Khan runs AEW Dynamite. I can't stand the show, to be honest with you. I still watch it. I can't stand it. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's lazy half the time. But of all people to say anything, Jake Hager should not be saying anything. Jake Hager made virtually no impact in AEW. Besides the purple hat, that's about it. And finally, we're going to end this show on some good news. Syko Stu was attacked by Raja Jackson earlier this month. It was ridiculous. At Knock X Pro Wrestling Academy, Rikishi's wrestling school, the WWE ID label was stripped from them following this incident, and then some jackass company booked Raja Jackson anyway. I think he should be in jail. But moving on from that, Syko Stu, the man he attacked, is out of the hospital and doing well, although he's going to have a long recovery ahead of him from his family. Stewart has been released from the hospital, is now home resting. He sustained a serious head injury and was unconscious upon arrival at the ER. His injuries include trauma to both upper and lower jaws, a laceration to his upper lip, and a fracture to his maxilla bone, which unfortunately resulted in the loss of several teeth. So, again, it's just a ridiculous, terrible asshole jackass attack by Raja Jackson that I never want to see that guy in professional wrestling again. I don't want to see him ever again at all. I want to see him in prison. But that's I don't know, who knows what's going to happen here. He's got a famous dad. But all the best to Syko Stu. I'm sorry that happened to him. A ridiculous incident. But that is it for this episode of The Ridiculous Report. Thank you so much for watching. And if you have not subscribed, please do so. Have a good one.